of the state who has been taking things, implementing several initiatives, modernization, reorganization and reformation in the Department of Collegiate and Technical Education, a young and dynamic bureaucrat of 2009 batch, Karnataka cadre. Please join me in welcoming Pradeep Kumar, Commissioner, Collegiate and Technical Education. Sir.
Respected dignitaries on and off the dais, a very good morning to you all. I am Pradeep, I am Commissioner, Collegiate and Technical Education, Government of Karnataka. Just a brief introduction on the department. We run about more than 550 government colleges, which include about 440 government degree colleges, more than 100 polytechnics, and 16 government engineering colleges. And why I am giving introduction on the government colleges is that Mr. Pushkar was talking about the gross enrollment ratio, which the national average is about 28% and the state is at 32%. And the stated objective and the stated target to be achieved by 2030 is 50% as per the national education policy. While increasing this NEP, to increase this NEP in terms of access within that NEP, in order to ensure that the socially and economically backward classes actually get into the GR fold, actually get into the higher education fold, the most important engine or the biggest socially economically backward classes, majority come from rural areas. So whatever the digital divide, the divide we talk about it between the government and the private education institutions, between the rural and urban areas, the one mechanism where it can be set right or addressed is in the government education institutions. So that was the reason why I quoted about the numbers, and more than nearly 5 lakh students studying in our government colleges. And so, and whatever perspective I give in today's talk is more from the angle of the government colleges and from this perspective. So one of the topics of discussion is offline and online education in changing times. As Commissioner Collegiate Education and more as a parent, I am of the strongest opinion that online education can never replace offline education, at least till undergrad education. But because education is all about the experience, the teaching learning experience with the teachers, you need to have a guru for that. But online education also has its own place. Online education can fill the gaps in offline education. Online education can reinforce and supplement offline education. And the best example in Karnataka that we have done is through the Karnataka Learning Management System. I'll just give a small info on that. In Karnataka, during COVID, we had online classes, but the effectiveness is a bit challenging. That is what we have observed. But anyway, now the COVID is almost done, fortunately, and now the classes have started. Here we have started something called a Karnataka Learning Management System, wherein the student obviously will go to the class, he will listen to the teachers, the class will be there. University-wise, subject-wise, we selected the best of the teachers, and using these teachers, we have created the content. So what is this content? See, when we come to content, we have Swayam, MOOC and YouTube or internet, we get millions of content. But this content is not curated, number one. Student doesn't know what is to be studied. Number two, it is not exactly aligned to a curriculum. At the primary till 10th and 12th, now we have got many companies, many corporates, many platforms which are giving content aligned to curriculum, but in the higher education space, it's not really true. So what we did was that for every 1 hour class, we have created content. So this content involves 1 hour full video. The teaching complete video of 1 hour by the best of the teachers, standing in front of the board and teaching that 1 hour video. One PPT, PowerPoint presentation on that 1 hour class, one summary, PDF summary, and most importantly, one set of MCQs, multiple choice questions on that 1 hour class. So these four things constitute the content for our Karnataka LMS for every 1 hour class. So this is content, and we call this as a comprehensive learning management system because it doesn't stop at the content. Most of the online content available now stops at the content. We don't know whether people are accessing this content, have they understood this content. So now, why we call it comprehensive? Because there is content, there is assessment in terms of MCQs for every 1 hour session, and then there are analytics. Analytics at the student level, teacher level, college level, university level, and the state level. And based on these dynamic analytics, for example, there are 10 questions in there. A teacher will get dynamic analytics very next day. Out of these 10, how many students couldn't attend, or most of them got it wrong. So he can take corrective action, he can explain those concepts and move on to the next unit. So this we call the closing the learning loop, wherein there is teaching, learning, assessment, analytics, corrective action, and again teaching. So this is what we have done in online education, and I feel this supplemental effort of online education is very important. I said it can't replace offline, but at the same time, online, what we have given, for example, Karnataka LMS, is a really liberating thing for our students. Because now they're not limited to their college, limited to their teachers, now they have access to the best of the content. This they can access many number of times, they can understand, go back, pause, move ahead. So this is this I feel should be the ideal blend in terms of offline and online education system. Second and third topics we have is new age learning and coping mechanisms for educators, new age skills and new age world. In this new age skills, we always talk about artificial intelligence, cloud computing, cyber security. This we have introduced in our, for example, diploma syllabus. We have introduced 8 emerging areas and about 32 specialization pathways we have introduced. In diploma, for example, if there is automobile diploma, we have introduced specialization pathways in the third year in electric vehicle technology, battery technology. This we have introduced. But I'm not focusing on that. You'll all will know that what are these new emerging areas in which we need to work on. I feel the most important thing is that the skills to be learned, it is not the new age skills, it is actual skills. The one thing the national education policy says is that the most important thing to be taught is learning to learn, because the technology or the subject which is of relevance today may not be relevant tomorrow. So this has to be a lifelong learning thing. So the learning to learn is the most important skill that needs to be taught to our students. And then critical thinking, analytical ability, applying the concept that I have learned into real life problems. This is where, at least in the government or public education system space, we lack. So now we are focusing on that. We are trying to improve. See, the NEP talks about only 3 things. One is the curriculum, pedagogy, and the assessment. And the 2 main actors in this are the teachers and the students. So we need to, for example, we were discussing before this with the Kalyan sir, and we were discussing that regarding something called today, skills need to be provided. Finishing schools kind of a thing, communication skills. If these are to be provided to an undergraduate student who is studying a degree, who is going to get a degree, and there is a very bad reflection on our education system at the degree level. This is okay for a 10th pass student or a 12th pass student to be provided some short-term skilling courses or short-term thing. But if it is to be taught as an additional course at a degree level, is a very bad reflection of the degree education system. Because these are supposed to be imbibed into the pedagogy, into the learning space. So that is what I feel in the new age skills are nothing but the critical thinking ability, application-oriented skills, analytical ability, learning to learn. These are the skills that need to be taught to students in this space. Modernization of curriculum is one of the topics which is again an ongoing work. Every year we need to look into this, what industry requires, and accordingly we need to change our curriculum. For example, under the national education policy, we have made our curriculum multidisciplinary. We have made it, earlier the silos were there, that hard separations were there between arts, science and commerce and engineering. That has now been removed. So an art student can now study science, commerce student can come back and study arts, in which, for example, one of the earlier presentations was showing that digital skills are very much required. So now we have made digital fluency as one of the main skill and ability enhancement course that needs to be learned by all students, whether it's arts, science and commerce. Digital fluency, financial literacy, like these are like finances and digital thing is required for each and every student, each and every citizen, each and every person nowadays. Without that, we can't function. That is how it's happening now. So those kind of curriculum modernization things are happening, which has to be, the most ideal thing would be every teacher should have the autonomy to decide his own curriculum, that what he teaches to students. We need to reach that level of refinement wherein the teacher has the ability to use that autonomy. So that is why we are trying to move into that space. And the NEP says that we need to move away from the affiliation system. Every college should become autonomous. Every college should have the degree granting autonomy. That is what the NEP says. So hopefully we'll reach as early as possible and in a meaningful manner. That is what I feel. Trends and best practice in higher education. I already spoken to you on Karnataka learning management system. I think something of that kind should be used. I'm sure in the private education system, many might have been using those systems. But in the public, I keep on talking about public education system because it is the place where the refinements or reforms or the real action has to happen, because that is where the government intervention has to come, the society intervention has to come, the community intervention has to come, the corporate social responsibility intervention has to come. The global collaborations is one last topic in which is one of the topics here. Again, I am coming back to NEP because internationalization of higher education is one of the main points in NEP. In Karnataka, we have already started implementation of internationalization of higher education, wherein we have started a training program at the diploma level with the Athens State University in US and Montgomery County Community College, one of the well-known community colleges in Pennsylvania State, on two topics: cybersecurity, travel and tourism. Here we have started with a pilot of 24 and 24 students, where the entire course is going to be subsidized by the government of Karnataka. So this, all the students who come to diploma, the 10th pass students come to diploma. So these students who would not have dreamt of going to US now will have the exposure to international education. The first year they will be here, they will be taught by us. Second year they will be here in our SJ Polytechnic and they will be taught online by the US universities. Third year they will go to US and study the complete third year. And they will also have an option to, most importantly, have an option to work for 3 years there. They will get a work permit in the name of optional practical training. So they can earn in these 3 years, and if they want to, if they desire, they can continue for 2 more years the study, and they can get a bachelor's degree in US. So that kind of an partnership we are working. We are also working to move to lateral entry for our degree students, lateral entry integrated master's degree programs at the international level. Basically to provide the international exposure to students, and the second part we're trying to do is to teachers. The teachers need to be given, need to be shown the best practice in the world. And the one thing that we observed, for example, recently we had visited some UK universities. The one thing we observed was the professionalism on the part of students, and everywhere. If that professionalism on the part of students is there, I would like to close on that note that I am an engineering student. I studied engineering, and I can frankly say we studied engineering from the point of clearing the exams. Nothing more, nothing less. So we should imbibe that professionalism, imbibe that quality in students, that they should learn for the sake of learning and for the sake of knowledge, for the sake of skill. And the job will anyway follow. If you have the skill in today's market, job will anyway follow. I think that should be the most important thing we should teach our students. I wish all the very best to this skill summit. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Jai Hind, Jai Karnataka.
And we can all feel the kind of vision that is there, the kind of higher education and collegiate education is moving ahead with the visionary leadership. Once again, a round of applause for Mr. Pradeep. The kind of thought that's needed, the kind of reform that is needed, we need this kind of leadership to lead our education ecosystem. Thank you very much, sir, for that wonderful address.